There, I think I got it. There. There, I think I got it. Let's see if we can trip this around. Put this elsewhere. What a mess. I don't have a holder for my iPad, but there, I think I got it. Let's see if we can trip this around. Put this elsewhere. What a mess. Okay, I can hear myself. Okay. All right, all right. Is anybody? Oh, we're on. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hi, Marsha. There I are. There I are. Oh, I can put this down. See my bulletin board? I already have a piece of paper on there. ChatGPT made me up a workflow and I printed it out. So now I know how to get from one place to the next. Okay, I see I'm a little behind. I'm sorry I'm having to use the Bullhorn Lake thing, but that'll work. It gives the time, the date, and the stuff on the side, but it's what we have to talk about is important. And now that I have wasted 23 minutes with a sound issue, but I'm determined. I bought this book, A Serial Killer's Daughter. My Story of Faith, Love, and Overcoming, Carrie Rawson. And Barbara, you're going to love this. Back porch. This book is very deep, but very thought-provoking. It does not go into the details of what her father did, but it goes into what the childhood she had and how spectacular in many ways it was, and how she didn't realize until she got older that it wasn't the right, necessarily a healthy childhood. It's very triggering, very thought-provoking, and it's one of the best books I have ever read. And I'm not talking about crime wise, I'm talking about self-help wise, mentally wise. It is like awesome. She is a spectacular writer, and she can say one sentence and mean 3 different things in it. It's very thought-provoking, and it's just one of the best books I've ever read. She's having to, I mean, of course, she's on a much bigger scale than the rest of us, but she has to marry or combine the fact that she feels happy about this event happening in her life and how much love she felt, at the same time knowing now that that was the same time that her father had done something to other people. So she has to be able to feel the joy, but the pain as well. It's really an incredible book. It was on the bestsellers list, and this was his frame of mind. Dennis Rader, the BTK killer, Bind, Torture, Kill. It says, this is a quote from him, "I was a good man who just did bad things." In his mind, that's what he was. And she felt total comfort in her father. He, just knowing he was close by made her feel better. In her child like mine, she had the perfect upbringing. There were issues here and there, and mom took care of that, but I could see my life in her life in some ways. And it's hard for us all to reconcile the trauma we've had in our life, yet the good times that we have. And because this person was bad and did bad things, do you disassociate yourself with the good? And many of us do that, and she doesn't. She says, okay, these were good times, and this was a bad thing that happened. So it's really an awesome book. It's one of the best books I've ever had. The name is A Serial Killer's Guide. No, I'm sorry. Lord have mercy. A Serial Killer's Daughter. My Story of Faith, Love, and Overcoming, Carrie Rawson. And the book is 326 pages long. And it is full of words. Very little white space. Most of it's words. It's not. But they had, okay, here's just a little thing. Just a little part. And remember, her father is BTK. A serial killer that did horrible things. And yet she loved him. He was very into his children. His children were, she thought, the most important thing in family. I mean, I'll tell you a little bit. Grandpa always had a couple of paperbacks stacked on his hospital tray. His grandfather was in the hospital. Dad and me, sometimes Dad would stay the night. Oh, books, and then Dad and me. Sometimes Dad would stay the night, but he always made sure to walk us girls to our cars before returning to Grandpa. I mean, he didn't do that because he was trying to make a show of it. He did that because he was concerned for the kids in the family. How do you reconcile that in your brain? I mean, this woman should be the most effed up woman in the world, and I'm sure her trauma is there all the time. Yet, how she can be an advocate and sit down and write something like this for other people, it's amazing to me. It's just amazing. She talks about a camping trip she had with her father and her brother and her cousin, and it was this beyond all camping trips, not in joy, but in physical exhaustion, almost ending in death for several people, and not a good thing. Yet after the end, she was very happy she accomplished that. But in telling that story, she also inadvertently, not inadvertently, but also the double meaning behind it is that's what she's had to go through mentally. She doesn't point it out, but you realize while you're reading it, this is what she had to go through mentally to deal with what she was dealing with when she had the father, you know, the emotions that went into it. It's just, in that book, in that, she put day one and everything they did in day one. Not everything, but you know, the highlights or the lowlights of day one. And then day two. And then day three. And they were going to hike for 7, it would be 7 days in the Grand Canyon area. And she, besides being exhausted, mentally and physically, but mostly physically, but I waited for each day. Oh, I can't wait for day 2. Nothing exciting happens. It's not like she saw a mountain lion and then this happened and then that. No, she's just talking about, but I could not wait for the next day. It was slow. It was very blandy. No, I can't either, but that's why she doesn't make it like, she makes it relatable. She makes our trauma in our lives relatable to her trauma. She doesn't make it like, I've got it worse than you. She makes it very relatable. And I see in this, I'm looking at myself in the computer because I have to look over to see everybody that's talking, chatting. And it's got my face is stretched. It's got me stretched because the computer software I use, OBS, it stretches the leg to the screen, so it stretches me. Anyway, I'm stretched out. But yeah, it is one of the most fantastic books I've ever. I can't say enough about it. Everybody should have this on their shelf. But caution, because to have this on your shelf also requires, it is definitely a trigger warning. You will be triggered, not from her experience and what she's talking about, but it triggers your own. It triggers your life. It triggers your trauma. It triggers you in a way that is very soft landing, but then you're like, yeah. It's like, I think I'm gonna have a good cry tonight. It's one of those, oh, I get it, I'm getting it, and then I'm 61, I'll be 61, and I'm going to myself, I'm still just trying to navigate life, man. Will I ever get to a point where I can sit there and not feel bad about this and guilty about that, and oh, I wish I wouldn't have done this, oh, I did that and this caused this? It's, of course, most of it's trauma responses, but how do you separate that? It's impossible to separate that. It's impossible to separate what you have taken into your raising of your children and that you shouldn't have. It's like, But anyway, we got it up, didn't we? I don't know why my phone wasn't working like that, but oh, I gotta plug it in too because my phone's gonna go dead. I just don't know why it wouldn't do my sound, but we'll have to deal with that at another day. But anyway, it is such a great book, and not for the reasons I thought it was going to be, because I have BTK books from FBI agents and, you know, people like that. I have that stuff. But or I have a catalog of, not a catalog, but a book that has multiple people in it, and they have him in there every time. But the sheer fact, on another note, that it's not just from her, but also thinking in my mind, the sheer fact that this man was so regular, everyday people. They had, in her church that she went to with her dad and her mom and her brother, every Sunday, her grandmother and grandfather, paternal grandmother and grandfather, also went to that church, as well as maternal grandmother and grandfather. And he had, I think, Dennis Rader had 3 other brothers. There were 4 of them altogether. And the mother had 2 other sisters. There were 3 of them altogether. So they grew up with cousins and everything, and that's in that church. And they had been in the church for years. And then it talks about one time when she was little, she would go to, she'd be a little too rambunctious. So they tried to settle her down with coloring and stuff, and if they didn't, Dad would take her out, her father would take her out and sit in the car while he read the paper, and she just did what she did in the car. And then sometimes when she had a little bit too much energy, he'd you know, get out and let her run around on the grass, on the churchyard, just run to get the energy out. He wasn't like swatting her or anything like that. He was being a regular, normal adult. So it's crazy how this normal person could do these horrific things and have that in their brain. I cannot, what word am I looking for? It starts with a C. I can't, not contemplate, but when you reconcile, it starts with an R, but concile starts with a C. I cannot reconcile that fact of it, but you know what? I don't have to reconcile it. If it's gonna, I don't have to reconcile the fact that this man was so normal and so average that he's, and wasn't, you know, didn't have this terrible childhood, and that, I don't know. I just don't know how to reconcile all that together. I'm wondering though, I just thought about it. I wonder if he had a severe brain injury. I wonder if he had a brain injury when he was a child at any time and hit his head really hard. Has brain damage somehow from that. I don't know. I can't tell you, but Phineas Gage. I can't tell you if he did or not, but that's the only thing I can think of. But I don't need to think of it. I don't need to solve this puzzle. It is what it is. It happened. There's no way to solve it. It is how it is. And just leave it and let it go. But the survival of this woman is incredible. But a great book. But the fact that this family would get together for Christmas, you know, both sides, and they didn't fight. The maternal and paternal didn't fight. They were all there together. They and then when there was issues, their uncles would step in and help out. Their aunts would step in and help out. they just step right up to the plate, you know, when when they found out and arrested him, the mother was like, "What?" She was waiting for him to come home for lunch. And the daughter was like, "What?" But the one of the uncles stepped in and said, "Okay, we've got to get the two of you together, you and your mom, and we've got to get the two of you together so you can, you know, be together through this." And they planned it all. They made sure it was in a, you know, the family stepped up. It's not like they were left out in the cold on their own. And so it's just like, oh, that's a normal family. And I don't know. It's crazy. But it's a great book. A Serial Killer's Daughter, by Kerri, Kerri Rawson, Rawson. One of the best books anyone could ever get. But be forewarned, there are triggers with trauma. And it's not as much about the case as it is about the life. It's just an incredible book. And now I'm switching to the Duggars. If anyone knows, the Duggars are a let me make sure my phone's charging. The Duggars are a Christian fundamentalist family that kind of got things the wrong way. I would say, let me put this up. I want to go with spare the rod, spoil the child. And how, is that a biblical? Okay. The exact phrase, spare the rod, spoil the child, is not in the Bible. It comes from a 17th century satirical poem called Hudibras by English writer Samuel Butler. Satirical writer. It comes from a satirical writer and it's not in the Bible. However, the phrase is a well-known paraphrase of several verses in the biblical book of Proverbs. Whoever spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is diligent to discipline him. Let's get that word discipline in there. That's the word I'm looking for. Foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from birth. Do not withhold discipline from a child. If you punish them with a rod, they will not die. Discipline is what I'm going for. You don't use an actual rod. It is so silly that people take that into real meaning, especially Proverbs. What is a proverb? Let's go to that. What is a proverb? I want to get an exact meaning. A proverb is a short, well-known saying that offers a piece of advice or states a general truth based on common sense or experience. That's what a proverb is. So a proverb in the Bible is just that. It's not a way, it's not a step-by-step plan. There are many plans that are in the Bible, but that's not one of them. That's not a step-by-step plan. And what it means is, don't let your kids run amok. Don't let them throw at the age of 5. Don't let them throw mashed potatoes in the restaurant. Tell them no. Or take them outside so they can settle down. That's discipline. You don't have to pull a rod out and beat the kid. That's not what it means. So when I see these things through the Duggars' eyes and how they do the whole blanket training, if you know the TLC, the Duggars are from the TLC family known as they were 19 kids. They just lived a life that TLC gave us. Another one from TLC that turned tragic. Family. All of TLC's turned tragic. 19 kids and counting, which was the Duggars. I had all 3 of them in my mind. Sister Wives, tragic. And the third, John and Kate plus 8, tragic. But they don't show it as tragic. They come out as it's the cutest, funnest little family that everybody wants to have that family. And then later comes on. So TLC, to me, anything TLC puts out is just garbage, because it's just a bunch of bull. It's parents that are trying to make money. You think about it. That's what it is. And the Duggars, the Duggar family, now we're going straight to their website. The Duggar family, a love that multiplies. Every family has a story. Welcome to ours. Duggar Sisters Q&A. Our Christmas love story, 40 years of forever. Kids room renovation. Duggar family vacations. Sibling camp out. And the parents, Jim, Bob, and Michelle. People often ask us, did you always want to have a big family? When we first got married, we thought we would probably have 2 or 3 children and be done. However, the sorrow of a heartbreaking miscarriage with our second child caused us to have a heart change. Interesting. Though that is difficult time, we began to read the Bible that children are a blessing and a gift from God. Okay. So these people had children, and then their children, then they had more children and more children. They ended up with 19 twins and several children that had been lost prior to birth. And so these children that were the oldest raised the younger children, because there was no way for the mother to take care of an infant and 12 kids, 10 kids, 8 kids. So the little kids would take care of the tinier kids, and that was their job. So she wasn't raising these kids. So she's saying she's raising these kids with this, and that. No, she wasn't. She wasn't raising them. She wasn't raising them. Little kids were raising the littler kids. And that's how it went. Michelle Duggar did not raise her children. Yeah, they were secluded. Yeah, it's literal. It's not literal. It's just sad, right? And so I, as a mother, think, okay, I didn't do any of that crap. I'm not BTK, I'm not Michelle Duggar, I'm not this. But it doesn't mean I didn't do things wrong. It doesn't mean I thought I did what was best, but I thought according to what my family did and what I thought was right. Since and a lot of that wasn't right, and it did harm. And now my daughter no longer talks to me because of what I have done. So for her to feel safe, she needs to be away from me and all that I encompass, because I obviously was not safe for her. I have been on this search for 3 years of what I was doing wrong, and I kept saying, what did I do wrong? And it came back. It wasn't one thing. Not from her, but I'm in my own, because she has cut off all contact. But it has been that everything made her feel unsafe. So when I would say something about this, even though it was very innocent, it was taken as a manipulation. Sometimes I can see where it was a manipulation, but then other times I'm thinking, no, that's not how I meant it. But because of the other, they're automatically assuming that's why it was a manipulation. So I'm getting it. I'm slowly getting it, and acknowledging that. And like today, I wanted to make my bed, right? And I wanted all the corners to be perfect and everything to be right. And I told myself, nope. You're going to make a sloppy bed and you're going to deal with it. It doesn't have to be perfect. And so there's my bed. Look at the bottom. It's a sloppy bed. It's a sloppy bed. And if that bothers somebody, if that triggers somebody, why? You got to ask yourself, why? Why does it have to be perfect? Why does it have to look like a model home? Why, if somebody walks in that door, does my bed have to be perfect? I don't know. Why is that? I'm not sparing the rod, spoiling the child. There's nothing biblical about having the bed perfect and look like a model home bed. So there's a lot of things I have to work on. A lot of things. Oh, the blanket training. Yeah, I'm getting to that one. That one's terrible. That one is really sad. And I've watched a lot of people on the blanket training, where in the blanket training, back to the Duggars, they say they're trying to teach their child discipline and self-control. That's not what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it easier for them to say stop and have all the kids stop and have little soldiers. That's what they're trying to do, because they have so many kids. But the blanket training is where you put a blanket on the ground and you get a child that's like crawling, 6 months old, 7, 8 months old, 6 to 8 months old. Some of them are walking by then, but we'll just go with the average. And you put them on a blanket, and then you put a toy that they want just outside of the blanket, to where they have to get off the blanket to get to that toy, which we all do, trying to get our kid to crawl. But they have a different twist. When that child gets to the edge of that and gets off that blanket, they get smacked. They get smacked or hit with a spoon, or they get pain for trying to be a child. So it's doing a heck of a lot more than just teaching boundaries. Because and I'll get back to that. So the blanket training causes all sorts of growth issues. And luckily, some of them, like Jill Duggar, who I love, they are understanding that more. They don't know that it was abusive. They don't know that it's detrimental because they were brought up with how many kids being done that way? 19? Plus all the grandkids being, some of the grandkids being done that way. They were all being taught that. So that's just their natural way. They don't even think about it. But it causes issues with a child's psychological makeup because that's how they explore. That's how they learn their world. They don't want them to learn their world. But Michelle Duggar and Jim Bob Duggar both had normal, I'm not saying normal childhood, but they were allowed to, she was a cheerleader in high school. She was allowed to have a life. And she chose this life. Well, she also chose it for her children. I've never chosen my child's life that I know of. That I know. I don't choose their life. They choose their life. They choose what to do. They choose what they want to be. They choose, I mean, was I there to guide? Yeah. Was I there to suggest? Yeah. But I did not say, you've got to do this or I'm not talking to you. You have to do this or God's going to get you. I wasn't that. No. No, 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 no. It was a decision that they had to make. And so now I'm at the age, if they ever speak to me again, that if they ask for a suggestion, I'll give it. But I'm not giving it without being asked. So the Duggars are just, I watch a lot of things on cults, and they call it a cult, definitely a cult. And it's sad. And they're over here pretending like it's not. I mean, think about it. Michelle and Jim Bob would have to, like, everything they've ever done in their life, they'd have to apologize for. And they're not going to do that. Their kids still love them. But you don't do it my way, then hit the road. Josh is still spoken to, and oh, poor Josh, this and that. Yet Jill came back with a nose ring, and she had dyed her hair and wore pants. So she was like, forget you. Never mind that Josh is in federal prison for horrific corn things that happened with children. But Jill is a big no-no because she got a nose ring. I don't like nose rings only for the reason is all I can think about is the inside getting boogers in them. It's just like, ooh, the inside. That's all I can think about. But anyway, so with the Duggars, it's just a constant. Oh, it's 10 a.m. already. I know it's only going to be a short one today because of the fact that we had sound issues, but we got it covered. The Duggars and A Serial Killer's Daughter, great book by Kerri Rawson, KerriRawson. So anyway, next Wednesday I'll be back and hopefully I'll get this thing fixed. If not, we'll have this ready to go and it'll be okay because I'll just do it on here and it works fine. It's too hot to go outside anyway. We have heat warnings. So stay inside for a little bit. All right. Thank you for coming. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Bye. Bye, bye, bye. Bye. I'm gonna hit the stop streaming.